Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you guys week of Bermuda, day 2, my Prism deck profile for July 2016. This is probably one of the Bermuda decks that I use the most. It's definitely a lot of fun. It's going to get a lot more support with the new Blessings of Diva pack. So let's go ahead and jump into the deck profile. For Stride Zone, I run 4 of the Princess Labrador. Her effect is you flip over a copy of herself, and then you choose 2 of your units. They get plus 5,000 in the effect. At the end of the battle that this unit attacked or boosted, you may bounce it back to your hand. So you can call triggers, perfect guards, whatever you need, just for that little push, because you know it'll go back to your hand at the end of that attack. So you can really swarm the field as well with this card and get off a lot of attacks with cards you don't normally want to use for that situation. And I also run 2 Nectaria. She's good for pressure. She bounces a Prism card when it hits and calls another one with plus 5,000. So it's on hit pressure, another thing that the deck really goes good with, especially with the grade 3 Labrador. And I also run 1 Alprina and 1 Morris, just for more bounce effects. A Morris if you have a field set, and Alprina if you need to set up field beforehand and then get off effects like Layette or Celtic. And for G Guardians, I run 3 Nasha. She's the Bermuda G Guardian, where if you reveal a unit as the same one on the field, it gets plus 5,000 shield, and also 1 Screw You just for the extra shield power. And to finish up the Stride Zone, I also run 4 Olivia. Just another really good heavy hitter stride to go with her multiple attacks and then extra critical by bouncing different units. Very easy. You run a lot of diverse Bermuda cards in this deck. And then moving on to the main deck, we run 4 Labrador. This card will most likely go down to 2 in my deck when Garnet comes out. But her effect, you basically can counterblast 1 card with Prism in its card name and bounce 1 of your rear guards with Prism back to your hand. So you can set up for her limit break, which is you call 3 cards and with Prism, and if you do, this unit gets plus 10 and a crit. So basically when she attacks, you do it, so you don't want to have units called. But the plus 10 and a crit goes really well with the break ride. You can reach for up to at least 30,000 with an extra critical with the break ride and limit break skill. And I also run 4 Vert. She is the break ride of the deck. When you break ride on her, your Vanguard gets plus 10,000. Then you can also draw a card and bounce 2 units. So the draw power is good. You don't minus yourself for the break ride. And you can bounce cards back to your hand and reset up your fields with Labrador. And for grade 2s, I run 4 Princess Celtic. Best Vanguard ride target in the deck. If it hits, you counterblast 1 card with Prism in its card name, choose 1 of your rear guards, bounce it back to your hand, and draw a card. So get off effects you need, like Layette for an unflipped soul charge, so you don't waste your counterblast. If you get multiples of these on your grade 2, you can really push hard for your opponent to guard, because they really don't want this attack to hit because of the draw power you can do. And I also run 4 Slaney. Slaney is good because she's not counterblast specific with the Prism card. And let's say you have like multiple grade 2s in your hand, like Celtic, in which you have to call them, but Celtic or them can't boost. So if you call this with Labrador's limit break, you can activate Slaney to bounce 1 of the grade 2s that's probably behind Slaney or another card. So you don't have to waste it keeping on the field. You'll still get the call 3 with Labrador, but you'll also be able to bounce it back with Slaney. And she can also bounce back other cards too, just for better field setup. And I also run 3 Prism Promise Celtic. When she's returned to the hand, you can Soul Blast 1, choose another Bermuda Triangle, and gets plus 4. So it's just a power card. No really other use for the Soul in this deck otherwise, so good card to run there. And for grade 1s, I run 4 Layette. When you bounce her back to your hand, you can unflip a damage and soul charge 1, and then choose a unit. It gets plus 4,000. The only downside to this is you cannot normal call Layette's for the rest of the turn, but you can still call her with Labrador's effect since it's a superior call from the hand. And I also run 4 of the Prism Perfect Guard, Araya, just because everything is pretty specific with Prisms in this deck, so you want to go full Prism if you can. And I also run 4 Yarmooks. Every time you bounce something, she gets plus 3,000 power, so you can easily do this with Labrador and other effects just to hit big columns. The best move with this is, to use it with Princess Labrador, your stride, and just have her boost up so much from your return 2 bounce. And I also run 2 Limit Break Enablers, just, for early game Labrador. If you use her on your first grade 3 ride, your opponent's still grade 2 and go for plus 10 in a crit. They got to use up either a Perfect Guard or a lot of 10Ks to make sure those double crits don't go off. And for grade 0s, your starter is Koro. When another Bermuda Triangle is returned to your hand, you may return her as well. Works good with Yarmook. It's another free bounce, meaning you'll get plus 6 in total instead of just the 1 plus 3. And then you can call her again if you're going to bounce something else, just to benefit from her bouncing as well. And I also run 8 crit, 4 Canary, the Prism crit. Only 1 crit out so far, but we are getting... Sorry about that, guys. Got cut off. But anyway, I was saying, only had 1 crit out at the moment, but we are getting another one in Blessings of Diva, so can't wait for full Prism triggers. And I also run 4 Adria, the Prism Draw, just for additional draw power. The one thing this deck does lacking is hand consistency. And to finish it off, the Prism Heal Timer. So yeah, that's it for the deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed day 2 of Week of Bermuda. Stay tuned for tomorrow. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And Kira Qualia out.